It is my pleasure to present to you this morning Reverend Paul Beedle. He comes to us from the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans, and he has been here now for 2 or 3 weeks, meeting with us, introducing himself, meeting with our teams and committees, getting to know us, and it's been a great pleasure. So it is my honor to present to you this morning our chalice lighter first time.
The words for lighting the chalice this morning are by my colleagues David and Beverly Bumbaugh. Our church exists to proclaim the gospel that each human being is infinitely precious, that the meaning of our lives lies hidden in our interactions with each other. We wish to be a church where we encounter each other with wonder, appreciation, and expectation, where we call out of each other strengths, wisdom, and compassion that we never knew we had. And now please join me in the affirmation of covenant. Is it our practice to rise to do the covenant or to stay seated to do the covenant? Do you want to do something new or do you want to do something comfortable? Please rise as you're able in body or spirit, and let us say the affirmation of covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. There is something in us, certainly, that can be disturbed. James Carse, like other mystics, including the Buddha, looks for something in himself that cannot. I was reminded of his essay as I reflected on the goals that we will be pursuing together here at the church, and which are all interrelated. The goals of attracting young families and rebuilding the RE program, of making our church and our values more visible in the wider Little Rock community, and showing up for our neighbors when they are in need and when we can join in working for social justice. We will need at times to know that part of ourselves that can remain undisturbed and call upon it to steady us in disturbing moments. Because disturbing moments will come. Life is like that. And more such moments may come to us when we put ourselves out there to meet our neighbors, greet strangers as friends, find out about each other, and discover what we might like to do together to make life in Little Rock and Central Arkansas more just and joyful. And the way we put ourselves out there needs to match the values we try always to live by, and calls for careful navigation of those inevitable, awkward, and even disturbing moments. In her book, Start Where You Are, the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron includes a chapter called Poison as Medicine. There is a Buddhist teaching summarized by the saying, 3 objects, 3 poisons, and 3 seeds of virtue. The 3 objects are, first, the things we find pleasant, second, the things we find unpleasant, and third, the things we find neither pleasant nor unpleasant. The poisons are what these 3 objects can become once we've decided what they are. Things we crave, things we scorn, and things we remain ignorant of. The three seeds of virtue are, of course, the absence of craving, the absence of scorn, and the absence of ignorance. Now, non-attachment is a core Buddhist teaching. Its chief symbol is the story of the Buddha's enlightenment. He found a space within himself where he was moved by neither fear nor desire, a place from which he could regard objects without craving or scorn. This teaching points to an unexpected insight, that when we neither scorn nor crave, we may lack curiosity. And so the poison of ignorance is not simply the lack of information or understanding, it is a lack of the effort to acquire these. And so Pema Chodron writes, the peacock eats poison, and that's what makes the colors of its tail so brilliant. Do you know that? That's the traditional image for this practice, she writes, that the poison becomes the source of great beauty and joy. Poison becomes medicine. Whatever you do, she says, don't try to make the poisons go away. Because if you're trying to make them go away, you're losing your wealth, along with your neurosis. All this messy stuff is your richness. It's your richness. So we need to be able to lean into the messy stuff without losing our balance. It sounds like a good farm image. I wonder if Finn is here to hear it. And in a disturbance, we need the skills to stay calm. I think the three seeds of virtue, instead of being the absence of things, could be restated this way. Gratitude in place of craving. Affirmation in place of scorn. And curiosity in place of ignorance. It can be hard to get from craving to gratitude, or from scorn to affirmation, because it's not easy to let go of strong feelings, the more so if they get attached to very instinctual feelings like hunger or disgust. It can take an effort to get from self-regarding craving or scorn to a more other-regarding place. Sometimes we get only halfway, from craving to respect, from scorn to toleration. Those places are progress. Let me not demean them. That's progress. But to push through to appreciation, to push through to gratitude, to understanding and affirmation, takes a sustained spiritual practice. Mere knowledge is not enough. As James Carse wrote, when we forget that knowledge rises from ignorance and think of it instead as a way of overcoming ignorance, knowledge can have the ironic effect of limiting our vision. Knowledge can lift the veil. It can also become the veil. So he says in his essay, A Philosopher Needs a Cat. That's where those words come from. And in that essay also, Carse describes his cat Charlie, as you heard, as a kind of enlightened sage. I cannot say the same for my cats. But they have their moments. My cat Jenny, if you didn't know, is a public figure on Facebook. She is the executive director of the Non-Human Spiritual Directors Network. She has not shared with me any information about membership in that network because human. But we have learned a lot from each other as colleagues, you understand. I have especially learned a lot from her about how scorn works. And she scorns a lot of things. Strangers, for instance. She used to scorn other cats. Once my friend Constance left her kitten, Jack, with me while she was out of town for a few weeks. She had just gotten him, and he was just a few weeks old, very tiny. Somewhere I have a picture of him next to the TV remote, which looks huge next to him. He's so small. Well, when I brought him home, Jenny had a fit. At the time, we were living in a second-floor garden apartment with a loft. I had my study up in the loft, and there was a second full bathroom up there, so I made it into Jenny's litter box and feeding area. The sink and the cabinet, which were outside of the door of the bathroom, is where I fed her, and then the litter box was in the tub because I never used it. And that's how, and also then Jenny got exercise going up and down the stairs. She was diagnosed at a very young age, to my shock, as being obese. 13 pounds, and she's obese? Yes, for her age and size, she was. So she needed to go up and down stairs a lot. I fixed it for her. But when Jack arrived, Jenny sat at the bottom of the stairs leading up to the loft and guarded it. Oops, I can't do that when I'm wearing a lavalier. She guarded the stairs. No way was he going up into her space. I had to keep poor Jack in my bedroom, behind closed doors. And Jenny kept up guarding her territory for quite a while after Jack went back home. Much later, during a period when I was unemployed, I moved into a couple of rooms in Constance's house. She had a big 4-bedroom house, and I could actually move my furniture and everything in there, not store anything in storage facility. And by this time, Constance had 2 cats, different ones, named Lucy and Teacup. Jenny was really bummed to have to share living space again with other cats. She picked out a corner of the living room at first and hid in it. When the other cats came near, she hissed at them. But those 2 cats decided to break the ice, and over time, they taught her how to make friends. I watched them do it. Teacup was the lead teacher. She would come inside of Jenny, and Jenny would hiss across the room at her. And Teacup would lie down and maintain eye contact with Jenny. She did this over and over and over until Jenny could see her and not hiss. Then she tried approaching her, coming a little closer each time that she repeated this behavior, persisting until they could be in the same room together peacefully. It was something to watch. But what happened next made me so proud of Jenny. She repeated Teacup's techniques with Lucy. Now, Lucy was a different personality. Lucy acted like she just didn't want to be bothered with Jenny. That's how Lucy deals with what she scorns. She just stays above it all or leaves the room. But Jenny persisted, lying down inside of her, maintaining eye contact over time, approaching her closer and closer. Within a few months, they could all 3 be in the same room together and began to interact with each other rather than avoid each other. When I saw Jenny do that, I was really glad I'd brought her where she could learn to turn strangers into friends. She doesn't always do that, as those who have tended my cats during my travels can attest. But she does know how, and that's been an important skill for her to have. She's become much better at dealing with changes when they come. And that's why I felt I could and should get Goldie. We would soon move on, Jenny and I, and when we did, I thought she should still have a feline companion. I brought Goldie home while the three cats were still together. Both Teacup and Jenny had the same initial reaction to Goldie. At first sight of her, they hissed at her and ran away. Lucy, of course, just ignored her. But of the three, Jenny was the one who found the motivation to befriend her. I think because I was playing with this kitten, she figured out that Goldie was her little sister. And so Jenny started to protect Goldie. When Goldie was playing with a toy, Jenny would position herself like a guard to keep the other cats away. To me, that was a thing of beauty. Jenny worked it through from scorn to toleration. She developed a more other-regarding way of being in the world, and there was real growth. She didn't have to go through the whole routine that Teacup taught her to get along with Goldie. She took another path. She left that learning behind and tuned in to the ceaseless change around her and found this relationship with Goldie. She's no happier about change, I can tell you, but she knows how to move through it. She adjusts better. We crave or scorn or remain ignorant of our world or our neighbors because of memories and experiences, because of intuitions, because we see in another something we crave or scorn in ourselves. There's any number of ways those feelings arise. The mistake is to have that poison in our systems and not transform it, as the peacock does, into beauty. When we break free of craving, scorn, and ignorance, and transform them as far as we are able into gratitude, affirmation, and above all, curiosity, we have the opportunity to become more able, more adaptable, more life-giving to ourselves and to others, and more beautiful. So that's why this philosopher needed a cat. I won't say every philosopher needs a cat, nor that every cat is an inspiration. What I will say is that we can learn something from any stranger, particularly if we first turn that stranger into a friend, and that transformation begins inside us when we regard any stranger as a potential friend. Let us then carry the spirit of gratitude, affirmation, and curiosity into all of the encounters and activities of our lives. So may it be. Amen. Let's join in saying the closing words together. Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings, and may we seek always to greet a stranger as a friend. I extinguish the chalice with these words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.